How about now?
Hello? Yeah,
Can you
that's
hear
good.
me?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
You're gonna have a lot of editing to do.
It's okay. I'm learning that quickly too.
Yeah, so basically, what I was talking about was
Go ahead.
moving to Ohio, and I'm slowly getting up to the story about my cousin. So
Yeah.
I'm just kind of like,
Take your time, man. We got,
I'm
like you said, you don't have nothing going on. I don't have an appointment until 2 o'clock today. So,
so like I was saying, I had built up this not relationship, but this what do they call that? Uh, people when people get to know you, like my brain's farting right now. It's like
like an acquaintance kind of thing.
uh reputation.
There it is.
So I built up this reputation of being the go-to guy at where I worked at Menards. I was the go-to guy, and I was talking about the relationship part with my ex-wife. So at the time, I was a go-to guy. I was the guy that people went to because I knew the job. I had the experience in driving trucks. I drove over the road, and I was a yard dog at that time. And even the transportation office would call me or send me an email because we had computers in the trucks. It would send me an email asking me questions about how much did this trailer weigh? Because we had quad trailers, we had B trains, we had all kinds of trailers. And they would ask me questions. What's the weight that should be on this or this and this? And so I would have to answer. So, and I was like I was saying in the relationship, I was in the process of becoming a supervisor. They were grooming me to take over a supervisor position. Uh, I wanted it, but I didn't want it because I wanted to get back out on the road. Uh, wasn't sure about what I was going to do, but when I found out that my ex-wife had a stalker and she started dating the stalker, that's when things kind of went south.
That's that's maybe another podcast.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's why.
My wife had a stalker and she dated the stalker. Well, to be fair, she didn't know he was stalking her. He'd been stalking her for months, like 6 months. And at the time, her and I were kind of going through our thing. She wanted to go home. I didn't. I wanted to stay. I felt like I had a future. There was something there that kept me there. I had a future. I was getting paid pretty good, and I had, opportunity for growth. The company paid very well. Not only that, we had profit sharing. So at the end of the year, you got a check for however much you made your gross wage. You got a percentage of that check. So they paid you. Some people were getting $14,000. Some people were getting $7,000 at the end of the year. So I thought it was a great deal. Um, it was a good company. I loved it. Like I was saying, for those of you who don't know what Menards is, it's a home improvement chain, but better. It's better than Home Depot and Lowe's. Trust me. Call
It
me
is,
biased, but I
it
love
is
it.
generally located up in the northwest ish.
Yes,
It's Central America, Central America, Central United States.
yeah.
Okay.
Northwest from
Right. Wisconsin
Michigan
to
all the way to North Dakota.
right.
It's pretty awesome. I liked it. It was great. But the problem with that, I wasn't sure, and I was getting tired of the job. I was getting tired of some of the people. One of the managers had stepped out of line and had, you know, basically disrespected me, and I didn't appreciate that. So I pretty much told him what I felt. And at that time, since I had a built up a reputation, there was a driver that was looking for somebody to take over his spot. He was a private company driver, had his own truck, really nice guy. He came from Mexico in 1970, and he'd been driving for 33 years. He was just a wonderful man. And I called him up. He gave me his number. I was like, "Hey, you still looking for a driver?" He's like, "Yep." I was like, "I don't know how long I want to be with you or drive for you, but this is my plan. I want to eventually own my own company and drive for myself, but I'll work for you as long as I can so I can save up money to buy my own truck." And he started laughing. And I was like confused for a minute. And he told me, he goes, "Well, maybe I can help you out with that." His plan was to find another driver to work for him to see how he did for a couple of years and then retire. And then he would sell his company to somebody else. So it was kind of aligned pretty good.
Perfect fit.
Pretty funny. But I worked for him for about a year. And unfortunately, his name is Rogelio. We call him Roy. Um, Beautiful family, great people. Uh, Unfortunately, he passed away at the age of 70 from COVID. Well, complications of COVID. But prior to that, I was disrespected at work. I didn't appreciate that. I told him what I felt, and I put my 2 weeks notice in. At that time, I was still mad, and we were still going through the situation with my ex-wife and the guy that she was dating. They had split up. He was holding her stuff in his garage as storage. So when Cindy and I split up, I said, "You can take everything you want. Whatever is in this freaking house, you can have it. Don't take my TV, and you cannot have my truck. That's it. You can have everything else. You can have all the cars. You can have everything. But leave my truck alone and leave my TV alone. That's it. That's all I want." We agreed on that. She took all of her personal belongings. She took it. She was going to put it in the storage. She met this guy, her stalker, and she didn't realize that she had a stalker until after he confessed to her later. I believe that's probably what led to the breakup. And he continued to stalk her after that. And I was concerned. Yeah, her and I were on the outs, but I still cared about her as a person. I was still concerned about her. And, so I would stand up for her because that's just who I am. We're on the outs, but we still have a connection as far as, being married for 7 years. And then, I had connections with her daughters. Her oldest daughter saw me as a father figure. Her kids were like my grandkids. I was their papa. And so I was already on my 2 weeks notice. It was a Saturday. I normally don't work on Saturdays, but it was a Saturday. I was taking over another supervisor spot, and running the yard for that day since I was being groomed and I already knew the system. So I took over that guy's spot, and I decided I know this guy works Saturdays. He's a mechanic. So I'm going to go ahead and wait for him to show up to work, and because he worked at the same company I did. He worked at Fleet. It was a mechanic shop for our trucks. Like, I'm going to go confront this guy and find out why he's keeping her stuff. Uh, yeah, he was a bigger guy than me, but I didn't care. I was looking for a adult conversation, real candid, but in the back of my mind, I was ready to throw down a bad. I mean, I'm not saying like I'm a badass or anything like that, but I did have two older brothers that used to beat the crap out of me. So getting my ass whipped doesn't scare me all that well. Um, so this guy, he's like towering over me. He shows up, and a buddy of mine, he was in the Marines. He's like, "Well, I'm going to sit right here and watch you just in case this gets out of hand." I was like, "It's not going to get out of hand, as long as he's civil, we're going to be cool." And this guy's taller than me. And I walk up to him, I was like, "Hey, you and I need to have a conversation real quick." And he just comes up to me with this serious look on his face. He towers over me and he says, "Yeah, we do." I looked at him and I smiled and I laughed. And it's like, "Buddy, I'm not that guy. It's like I could take an ass whooping just as well as give one. Don't go there. And then his eyes got really big because my eyes started getting crazy. He tried to leave. I grabbed him, and he's like, "I'm done talking. I don't want any problems." I was like, "No, no, 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 no. You got in my face. You started this. I wanted a civil conversation, and you started it." So I grabbed a hold of him, and he wasn't going anymore. I mean, I death grip on him. He was trying to get away from me. Then my buddy got out. He's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa." So he breaks it up, and this guy lets him go on his way, and he gets like, I don't know, 50 feet away, and then he starts running his mouth. This guy calls the cops on me. He says I threatened to kill him, which I never did. I wouldn't threaten to kill nobody. That's just stupid. That's
Right.
dumb. Okay. What I told the deputy was I threatened to kick his ass, but I never threatened to kill him because I was honest. Like I say, I'm honest about what I say. I mean what I say. I stand by what I say. Yeah. But anyways, I decided that it was that time to go. I got the job. It was great. It was a good company, and unfortunately, Rogelio died before we could go through any of the process to transfer over everything. He was going to retire at the age of 70. He died 4 days after he turned 70. And then my life was just in the dumps. It sucked. It really sucked. I had a hard time finding a job because there was no proof that I ever drove for this guy other than my records for the, the book, the logbook.
Logbooks.
Yeah, my logbook. And that was about
Mhm.
it. Finally got jobs, started getting panic attacks, real bad ones, just kept coming, coming, coming. It just felt like the world was crashing down on me. And then along came Brianne, my good friend from a long time ago that I met. And that is an interesting story in itself.
Mhm.
I met Brianne a long time ago through a friend, and that was while I was in Deer Lodge at the prison. He dated her for a while, and I kept asking, he kept telling me about her. She was just a wonderful person. And I was like, dude, what the fuck are you doing here? Why are you in prison? Why do you keep coming back to prison? You have somebody that loves you, that cares about you, and you keep coming back to prison? Like, what the hell's wrong with you? Fortunately for me, it didn't work out for them. But he's still my good friend. We still talk, and he's doing really good. He was on the fire crew. He actually ran the fire crew in Montana, and he's doing great. He married. He was our what do they call that? Did the ceremony.
He conducted the ceremony.
Yes, he conducted the ceremony. He got
The officiant.
yes, officiant. Yeah, he officiated the wedding,
Yeah,
and he was more than happy to do that. He was one that actually encouraged us to get together.
that's cool.
So it wasn't like her and I had a romance behind his back. It wasn't none of that, you know, stuff like that. It was just years later, 10 years later,
Right.
we got back together. She lived in Kentucky. At first, she lived in Ohio. Then I realized she told me she lived in Kentucky. I was up in Ohio. We were only 6 hours away. And we're like, hey, let's meet up together. So we did. And that was that. But so we got together. And I was working for Ruan. I drove for Ruan for a while. And we are still hauling out of Menards. And she wanted me to move down here. I'm like, I don't know if I want to leave my job and this and that. It was a good paying job. I love Ruan. Ruan's a really good company. So if
Hmm.
you are a truck driver and you need a good job, Ruan is a really good trucking company. I got to say that. And I don't say that lightly.
Right.
Okay?
It's hard to find a good company that'll support you, and
Right.
because I drove truck across the country for a few years, and it's hard, man. When you say, "Hey, I want to be home on Friday," I know I got to leave out Sunday, but I'd like to be home on Friday after you've already been out for a month. And they're like, "Oh, I got you a load taking you in. You'll be in, late Saturday." And I'm like, "That's not what I said."
Right.
I mean, I understand the concept behind the loads and where they go and all that, but
Yeah.
work with me.
Right. Uh, Fortunately, it was a day job. It wasn't day job. It was overnights, 3 to 3. So I worked 3 in the afternoon to 3 in the morning. So they had two
Okay.
shifts, which was great. I didn't mind. I actually prefer driving at night because there's less people out,
Yes.
less
That's when I
idiots.
did most of my driving was at night, and all the crazy radio stations and uh,
Right.
all that. So much fun.
So I drove for there for a while, and I decided to move to Kentucky. Well, I talked to Ruan. They said they had a company down here that they hauled for. I got with them again, and it just didn't work out. It was too far away for me to drive from where I lived to where it was, to where to pick up the truck and all that stuff. So it just wasn't going to work out. So I decided we were going to do that. And then I started working for this psycho crazy broad at FedEx at night. And yeah, at first she was really nice to me and she gave me some good runs. I made some really good money and I volunteered to work Saturdays. She paid me $300 cash on Saturday just to work a Saturday. And then she got new drivers and then thought she could just flip the script on me and treat me like a POS. And I was like, no, you don't. Please, you know, like my wife says, she needs you more than you need her. So,
It's
I
one of
left.
the great things about America is we literally get to choose where we want to work. In most cases, I mean, sometimes you're not qualified. Like I couldn't be a brain surgeon, but I don't know if that's necessarily something I would want to do.
No, I wouldn't want to pick on somebody's brain.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. You get to choose your own employer, things like that.
Yeah, it was tough. It was good money, and it was funny because my plan, because I had this plan because I was going to propose to Brienne, and I had this plan, and I was going to propose to her in Puerto Rico. We did go to Puerto Rico twice, but at the time I was going to propose to her, I was looking out on the window, and we looked out and we seen this guy proposing to his wife on the beach. I'm like, man, stole my freaking. No, he didn't know what he was doing. It was good. It was kind of an amazing thing to see. So I didn't propose to her then.
But you were prepared, I'm
Yeah,
assuming.
I was
Yeah.
prepared. I was going to do it, but it didn't do it. I wanted to, but I decided
Yeah.
now I'll figure something else out. And my plan was we were going to get married at the Kentucky Castle. I was going to save up. I was going to work a bunch of Saturdays because I got paid cash Saturdays. I worked at FedEx. I was going to work a bunch of Saturdays and take all that cash under the table and pay for the wedding for the Kentucky Castle to rent it for the day. It's a beautiful castle. It's right off of what is it? Sales Road, US 60. It's right off the 60. It's on the hill. It's beautiful. They rent it out for venues. They do dinners and all that stuff. That was my plan. That didn't work out very well because I started having problems with her, with my boss, and I wasn't going to allow her to treat me. I mean, I didn't allow grown ass men to treat me like a POS. I wasn't going to allow my boss to treat me like that. I don't
Hmm.
allow any employer to treat me with disrespect. Period. That's just the way I am. I can't say I can toot my own horn, but I'm way too valuable to be treated like a POS. When you are a truck driver and you have the amount of experience that you do, you're way too valuable to be taken advantage of, and you're way too valuable for any of those people like the bosses or the dispatch or anybody, the brokers or any of them to take advantage of you or to treat you badly.
It takes a little while to kind of get to the point where you build up that resistance or confidence to say,
Yes,
no, that's not what we're going to do. We're going to do this.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. By then I had all of that stuff, and so I went on vacation, took all my stuff, and left. Like, nope, see ya. Unfortunately, I got blackballed from FedEx. I could never work for there. Oh, Too bad.
Well, a lot of good workers leave not because they want to. It's because of poor leadership.
Yes, and that was the main issue. Like with that situation was equipment failures. So everything had to be right on time. I was always on time. I was always on work every day. Uh, there would be uh, issues with either the trailers or something would go wrong, and we were running doubles, so we had to hook them up, and you had to be there at a specific time. They wanted you there at 9:30 specifically to pick up the trailer, and if they weren't ready for the trailer, that means you were late getting to your destination. So if you were late getting to your destination, you got the blame for not being there on.
Right. Regardless of the delays or
Right.
anything like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So if the dispatch screwed up your ticket, because a lot of times they didn't have the tags, you had to have the tag. You had to call them and like, oh, we messed up, blah blah blah. Put the tag on, and then they
Mhm.
forgot to put it in the system what time you left. And then next thing you know, because they didn't put it in the system, and you're like 30 minutes late for the sortation, because you had to put them in docks so they could sort them out on a specific time. I get the time thing because people want their stuff, but when you're late 30 minutes, you get in trouble. And that was the other thing too, is I got tired of getting in trouble for other people's BS.
Yeah.
But I got a pretty good trucking job now. It's easy. I work for a pallet company, and they're pretty flexible. They're really good people. Like we had this ice storm, and I ended up having 5 days off. They're like, nope, we don't want you guys on the road. We don't want you guys coming in. We're going to go to our yard. We're going to try to get it cleaned up as best we can, but we want our drivers to stay off the road because you guys are more important. Your lives are more important, and it just costs too much money to replace equipment.
So were they willing to pay for your time off?
We'll get PTO. I'll get a PTO on that, but yeah. So that's one thing I can respect, and I know the guys, and we talk, and I get to talk to the owner a lot, and he's a really good guy. He looks like a big, mean kind of person, but he's actually a teddy bear.
I know a few people like that.
Yeah, uh, good people to work for. It's great, very flexible. That's like getting into the situation here, um, talking about my cousin and why we started the podcast.
Mhm.
Um, the company was very flexible with that, and tell you the story. My cousin was a 20-year veteran in the National Guard. He was a staff sergeant. He did a lot of training. He trained a lot of people, and he went full time. He worked for the sheriff's department at that time, during that time as well. And he decided to go full time with the guards and be a recruiter. And then sometimes they would call him in for specialized training because they would have to train, especially when the whole COVID thing came out. They did special training. You would have to go train the guys for like special tactics or some whatever the hell they called it. And he did that, but mostly he was a recruiter. He's getting guys in, uh, and also he started working as a realtor, and he was really good at that. He wanted to start his own realty company. He was doing really well with that, and the company that he worked for said, "Why don't you just partner up with us?" They didn't want the competition, so he partnered up with them, and he did really well. He retired after 20 years and with the military, and went back to law enforcement. So at this time, it's like a year and a half. So that put him at 13 years total with the Hillsdale County Sheriff's Office. Um, he was going to assist in a traffic stop, where there was a suspect resisting arrest, and he was on the scene for about 10 seconds when the suspect pulled a gun and shot him in the neck through the spine. 10 seconds. It's just, and the other officers that were there, I don't know how long. I did see some of the body cam footage of one of the officers. They kind of redact a lot of stuff. Yeah, that was hard. And hearing the news about that, I called work immediately because my stepmom called me. She said something happened to Billy, and I was like, "What's going on with Billy? Is he okay?" And she said, "No, he's gone." I'm like, "What do you mean he's gone? Like he was shot, he was killed." And immediately I called my company. I was like, "Hey, I'm not coming in. My cousin, he was killed in line of duty, and we're going to go up north to be with my family for a while." So we did that. We were up north in Michigan, Hillsdale, and it sucked. It really sucked seeing my
So you
cousin.
said he was with them for 13 years
Yes,
at that point.
yeah. By then, yeah, he had 30 years with the Hillsdale County. He promised them once he retired from the military, he would come back, and he did. Uh, yeah, it was, man.
So what town was he in when that happened? Or you said what was the sheriff's office again? I'm sorry.
The town is Hillsdale, and the
Hillsdale.
sheriff's office is Hillsdale County.
Okay.
And he was outside. Well, he was bordering Hillsdale County to Lenawee County, which is the neighboring county to Hillsdale. And
And
he
that was in California, correct?
he was born in Oakland, California. He
Right.
was raised in Hillsdale his
Okay.
entire life. So
Yeah.
he knew everybody. Everybody knew him. He went to high school there. He was very known, and people loved him. People just loved Billy. He was just that kind of a person, you know. And it's weird seeing. I mean, it's not weird, but it's ironic to see Billy right here because that was my cousin's name, Billy.
Right.
That's what we called him.
Hmm.
Uh, his wife calls him Bill, but that's my uncle's name. So
Right.
I wouldn't call him Bill. I would call him Billy.
Right. I started going with I was Bill all through high school, all that, because I wanted to sound like a grown man, and
Mhm.
now I don't care. So I changed over to Billy after that. But
Right.
um, so I'm going to assume at this point that Hillsdale that hadn't happened very often, and this was something that really shook the community.
Yes. He was the first deputy killed in the line of duty since 1930. So Hillsdale was relatively a very safe community. I remember spending time there when I was a kid, and I remember feeling very safe and comfortable in that town because it was just that kind of a community. It was very safe. Unfortunately, like every small town and every community, it's plagued by methamphetamines. And this guy, I won't name his name, uh, had already been to jail, had already been to court for distribution and the use of methamphetamines, and had a prior drug gun conviction for having a firearm uh, while in the possession of illegal substances. Um, he was let off by the judge. And again, obviously, he was high, and obviously, he got a hold of another weapon. Um, yeah, there was a huge breakdown in the system at that point. This could have been totally prevented, but when my cousin, when he heard the call, he answered. He didn't hesitate. He heard the call. He went. And on the outskirts of Hillsdale, it's very rural. Okay, very wooded. There's a lot of farmlands and lots of trees. So the danger it took just getting there alone from where he
Right.
was, from wherever he was, just getting there and having all these intersections, blind intersections with trees. You can't see nothing. So that in itself was dangerous. But to arrive on scene because your deputies, your fellow colleagues are in trouble, he answered the call and he showed up. And Billy was no small guy. He was a big guy. You know, he was very stout, he was very tall, and very strong. So he arrived on scene, and unfortunately, that was that.
No, no, you said you didn't want to mention the suspect's name or anything, but I'm hoping that justice did kind of come through on this, and that he's either spending the rest of his life in prison or they did something else. I don't know if California has a death penalty or not, but I think if someone kills a police officer or any public official, I think that's warranted. Obviously, there's a legal side of all that. So,
Yeah, in Michigan, they don't play fair, and yeah, he got away. He got away. He was gone for 4 hours. He was hidden in the trees. The sheriff had received a bunch of calls from other surrounding counties. I know Lenawee County, Jackson County, uh, Michigan State troopers were there looking for him. He had calls from Bay City. The sheriff had calls from Bay City, which is up north, asking if they needed assistance. So everybody in every county wanted to come down to get. Uh, Fortunately, they did find the suspect 4 hours later, and he didn't make it out alive. He's been cremated. That's about all I can say about that. He has been cremated.
so in one way or another, justice for your cousin kind of came through on that.
Yes, it did, and it was swift.
Yeah.
It was swift. One thing I will say about the state troopers and law enforcement in Michigan is they do not play. You kill one of their own, and if you fire at them, there will be nothing left. And I think that's probably why he was cremated, because there was really not much left of him.
Yeah.
According to what one of the officers had told my uncle, was that every shot counted.
It's like that sheriff in Polk County says, "Why did you shoot the suspect 67 times?" And he said, "Because we ran out of bullets."
Right. I love Sheriff Judd Grady.
Yes, he's
Yeah, awesome. He's awesome. I like him.
so that's what kind of inspired your podcast. And I did hear you talk about it on the radio, where you explained how it got its name and what those numbers mean and all of that. Could you kind of tell us what that's about?
Yeah. So, going through all of this and seeing my cousin and the changing of the guards, I don't know if I think my aunt probably held his hand, but I think out of all of the people that were there, I was the only one that held his hand, seeing him in the coffin. And I held his hand, and I was just thinking to myself, I was sad, and I was like, it shouldn't be you. It shouldn't be you. Why? Because he was such an amazing person, very caring, kind hearted, loving person. And if that guy needed help, he would have helped him. He would have done anything in his power to help this guy, you know, because he was that kind of person. And I started thinking like, we have to do something about this. This just cannot happen. Too many law enforcement officers are getting killed senselessly, and it just kind of grew from there. And my wife, she's the one that actually told me to do a podcast. And I just barely started listening to a podcast like 6, 7 months ago, maybe 8 months ago, from before I even started doing a podcast. I was listening to like political stuff like Don Jr. and Charlie Kirk. You know, I love those guys. And I was like, are you freaking crazy? I don't talk. I'm not that, I'm not a social person. I wouldn't even know what the fuck to do in a podcast. She did some research, and I had this desire and this that I guess that fear took over again. The fear took over, and then the fire was lit. And then we decided, what are we going to call it? And during all of this, I guess this is when the fire was lit. I hadn't even decided whether I was going to do a podcast or not, but I went ahead and bought the equipment anyways. So that was the deciding factor, I guess.
I think you were
Subconscious.
destined to do it. So
Yes,
yeah.
I think so. It definitely changed my world. But to get back to that, uh, we had to come up with something. What are we going to call it? And I was struggling and struggling. My cousin had this company had made a lot of memorial shirts for my cousin. This hat was one of them. As you can see, it says Sheriff's Hillsdale County right there. The 8158. The 81 is actually the number for the county of Hillsdale. That's their designation. It's kind of like Ohio. It's the same way. The county I lived in was 86 in Ohio. That was Williams County.
Yeah. Ours is 21.
Okay.
Yeah.
So on their badges, they would do the county first and then the number of the deputy's number, which his number was 058. And they just take off the zero and just say 58. So that's what they would, when they call them on the radio, they would say 8158, respond, blah, blah, blah. So that was basically his badge number. And that's what we go by. And so I'm driving, I'm in my truck and I'm driving and I'm just thinking about names and what to call it. And I'm just, stressing out. And I took my hat off and I threw it on the dash of my semi truck. And my hat turned around and it was looking at me right in the face. And I texted Brianna, I was like, I figured out what I was going to call it. And I talked to her on the phone and she's like, well, what are you going to call it? And I was like, it's been staring at me in my face the whole fucking time. We have shirts that have it on there. We have hats and all this stuff. Like, it's been staring at us the whole fucking time. It's like, what is it? I was like, 8158. She goes, let's see. And we're thinking, she goes, how about Stories of Sacrifice? Like, done. Because it just fits. Because we're talking about our first responders who give their lives. And initially, we wanted to start the podcast in honor of my cousin and to honor first responders and just say, you guys are people too. You guys put your lives on the line for people you don't know, but you also have families that care about you. That's what it initially started out as. But further on, as we went, we found out there's more issues involved with our first responders that needed to be addressed, and it broke our hearts. And so we followed that, and I started to realize that this is what my cousin would have wanted. He wouldn't want us to spend and waste our time, you know, grieving over him constantly and putting everything about him.
Mm-hmm.
He would want us to focus on his brothers and sisters in his law enforcement his brothers and sisters in the military. That's where he wanted us to focus because that's the kind of person he was. So, in his memory and his likeness, we started getting into the mental health aspect of the first responder realm and trying to get help. We've connected with therapists, we've connected with psychiatrists and people who are trauma informed, who are informed about first responders, therapists that have been for first responders and are now therapists. So we connected with a lot of those people. So we're trying to build a network to help our first responders in that way so we can get people connected. Also, with the foundation that we started, the William H. Bill Butler Jr. Foundation, that is to help with mental health, with fallen heroes, for their families, also to help new recruits, get them started, whether you're fire, EMS, law enforcement, anything like that, if you need help, assistance, and also for juvenile offenders who might want to become first responders, or maybe they need counseling. We'll help them get counseling, and then we'll help them to get on a better path to become a healthier person and maybe become first responders as well. That's what the foundation is based on. And that's what we're trying to raise money for. We sell merch, we do events, we figure out different ways to raise money for that. We take donations and all that stuff. But it's like a roller coaster. One thing started after another, and it just happened so quickly and so easy that I knew that this was supposed to happen.
Right.
I would like to do this. I would like to keep my cousin. I'd still like to see my cousin. I would like to keep him around if I could do this, but this was the way it was supposed to happen.
Well, I think the whole point behind just saying 8158 that brings it at least for you and your family, it brings it to top of mind in every conversation when you're talking about the podcast, and then the foundation, of course. Are there places where somebody can? Is there a website? Is there a foundation website where people can go to donate?
So we don't have a foundation website in itself, but what we do have is the 8158 podcast website. And the foundation, you can go to the podcast website, and at the very bottom, the foundation is there, and you can click onto that, and it'll take you to the foundation page.
So they have to look for the William H. Bill Butler Jr. Foundation at the bottom of the website.
Yeah, it's got its own logo. So
okay, so yeah,
we created a different logo, and just so everybody knows, like if you buy merch for the foundation, or not for the foundation, but not just for the foundation, but for the podcast, if you buy hats or anything like that, challenge coins, or whatever that we have, that money goes into the foundation.
Okay.
So we pay for all that stuff out of pocket, and when you purchase it at the cost that we have set, it goes into the foundation. It doesn't come to us.
Okay. Is a foundation set up as a charitable 501c3 kind of a thing where people can get tax deductible?
Yes, it is a 501c3.
Okay.
It is recognized by the state of Kentucky and the federal government.
Nice. That's perfect. A lot of people do. They want to make sure that where they're spending their money is going to a legitimate, established, registered, all of those things. I run through that through day one, week one. We get that a lot. They ask us, are you registered with the state and the IRS? And I've got the paperwork to prove it. So that works out very good.
Yeah, we have an EIN number too.
Nice. Okay, cool. And you can find all that stuff on your website.
Yeah. You'll find the board members. Obviously, I'm the president. It is in my name. Bill's wife, she is the vice president, and my wife is the treasurer, and Irene Shipley, that is my wife's mother. She is the treasurer. So we do have another board member. We're just waiting to see if she is still going to be on board or not. She's starting her own nonprofit. There's no conflict with us. I think what she's doing is fabulous. It's a great thing for the people in her areas. If that's what she has to do, that's what she has to do. Anyways, yeah. So, and all of our board members are volunteer, so we don't get paid. And the podcast is nonprofit. We don't get
Mhm.
paid, but you can donate to the podcast to keep the podcast going. I don't know if
Right.
you've seen that on social media. Brienne put out a post about that. People can donate to the podcast, or you can donate to the foundation. The money that goes into the podcast goes into the programming and all that stuff to keep this going.
Absolutely. All the subscriptions and everything that you have to have. Now, you said in the pre-show interview that you had a huge announcement that you wanted to talk about. I don't know if you still want to do that, or is that something you're interested in right now?
So before we get started with that,
Is this breaking news?
it is kind of breaking news, actually.
Okay, I like it. Right here on the Day One Week One podcast. That's pretty exciting.
Said here first. So we are going to be visiting you guys up there, and we're going to be at the mental health
The
summit
summit. Yeah.
with you guys.
Mhm.
Um, that's great. That's not the breaking news. So everybody knows that. Uh, Obviously, we talked about the Beyond the Backroads podcast. It's on YouTube. It's for free. It's got eerie stuff. I do all the music for that.
Nice.
So I create all the music for everything, like the podcast, the intros, the outros. I create the music for that. The podcast for my wife, I create the music for that, and the music you hear in the background, that's me actually playing the guitar. I'm a little rusty, but I'm still playing the guitar.
That's right. Yeah, I've got stuff where I push a button. So that's way more advanced, I think. A little more heart goes into it because you're sitting there playing and you've made it.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we decided that would be uh, essential, because I wanted to put some of those talents to use and not let them go in vain, because I put in a lot of years, a lot of time, and I'd hate for that to go to waste. I knew a long time ago it wasn't going to be a rock star. That wasn't me. I don't want to be a rock star. I just want to play music and enjoy it and let other people enjoy it. But creating introductions and creating B-roll and stuff like that,
Mhm.
to me is fulfilling, because I'm like, wow, I'm creating all this stuff, and it can go to this and it goes to that. I think it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So about the podcast. My wife's new podcast, Beyond the Backroads, 8158 podcast. So you and I are on the Thin Line Rock Station. And I love the Thin Line Rock Station. And trust me, I'm not going anywhere. I'm sticking with JJ and James. I love it.
Guys are awesome.
And so we had a discussion with James. And we wanted to make sure that there wasn't going to be any hard feelings. But we're on board, and James is helping us out. He's a great guy. We love that guy. He's helping us out with everything he can. But we have started our own rock station.
What?
Yes.
Okay. 8158 Rock Station.
No, this is going to be separate. This is separate. This is called Slightly Unhinged Radio.
Okay. I'm going to write this down.
We're still working on the DJ spots. We have DJs already, but we're still trying to get everything set up because we just started it. The music is playing. There is an app. If you go on Google, if you go to Apple,
Okay.
you have an app. It's Slightly Unhinged Radio. It is like, the era is from the Gen X to millennial. So anything from like the 70s all the way to 2010. The music style. I'm going to have my own set, which will be on Fridays, later in the evening, probably from like 6 to 10 or something like that. We have all kinds of different music. We have rock music. We have soul music, Motown. We'll have what else do we have? We have like the pop music, like Backstreet Boys type music, all of the millennial type of music for the younger generations, and it's kind of like the Thin Line Rock Station, but it's not first responder based. It's genre based with the era. Uh, we felt like we didn't want to try to impede on what JJ and James are doing. We don't want to try to compete with that. And we thought it would be more respectful to do something totally different. But I thought it would be cool to have my own rock station and do it myself.
Rico the rock star. You said you don't want to be a rock star, but there you go. Now you got a rock star rock station coming up.
Rock station. Yeah, so we got our DJs. Her dad's gonna be on there. Uh James, he's gonna be on it.
Nice.
He asked because I know he told us that when they originally started the station, that's what they kind of wanted to do. They didn't really do that. They went with the first responder thing, but now they're going to get a chance to do that.
Yeah.
So
that's good stuff. That's exciting.
And we got Jason. Jason's a friend of mine. So we got Jason Andrews and another guest who is a friend of my wife and myself. She was a guest on our podcast. She's from Florida. She's EMS. So she's going to be on there. But we're not going to talk about first responder stuff unless they have stories about first responder, but we're not going to do the mental health stuff. We're just going to talk about our lives when we're kids, growing up, and what kind of generations, and relate to the music and that kind of thing. Kind of like what I do on my segments. I relate to the music, and then I just talk shit to people.
It's going to be hard to have Jason Andrews not talk about first responder stuff because or veteran stuff because that's been his life, his whole life. And like I said, because we have that WhatsApp channel, I said the other day, I was like, dude, you got to take care of yourself. I don't even know if you've slept in 4 days. I mean, he's constantly going through Hell Week every week.
Right. He's always on the go, always doing something.
Yeah. I mean, he's helping us with merchandise.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's everywhere. It's amazing. Jason's such a cool dude.
Yeah, he is. And he's also helping us with our merch too, with the podcast, the 8158 podcast merch. We make our own, but it's easier to outsource that, and also the foundation merch as well. But we also do have merch for the radio station.
Yes, we do. We had the DJs. What is it? The DJ series or?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you guys, the Thin Line Rock Station has merch, and Slightly Unhinged has merch.
That's awful. That's awful.
Aaron created a lot of the stuff, and we have shoes, we have hats, we have all kinds of stuff.
I'm so excited, man. I'm excited for you. I can go to Google. It's a stream service as well.
Yeah, it's an app.
Okay.
We don't have the DJs up yet. We have them assigned, but we're still trying to get the coding done because we're going through the same company that the Thin Line Rock Station is, Live 365.
Yeah.
So as soon as we get it set up, we weren't going to plan on releasing it until the 1st, but we're a little bit behind because we had technical difficulties. But we will be releasing it pretty soon. So we have all kinds of different music, so it just plays randomly.
Well, if you're ever looking for a 80s country DJ, I'm your guy.
80s country DJ. Yeah. But we do have country.
Yes. So 80s country DJ, that's I think I've mentioned this on the channel that we all speak on is like last night I was a DJ for karaoke DJ last night.
Yeah.
Had a lot of fun. Had a lot of singers come out last night. A lot of really good singers came out last night. We had a great time. It was so much fun. And that's a good way. And then every couple songs, I'm like, hey, if you guys like rock and roll or country or any type of music, you got to go to the Thin Line Rock Station. and everybody's like getting their phones out and they're checking it out. So, which I think is pretty cool. And then a little bit will tell them about day one, week one, because I'm not really there to make people donate or anything. But so tell us, not real quick, take your time. Tell us how we get a hold of you, how we can, how we can donate to the foundation and keep the legacy of Billy alive for everyone, because he gave the ultimate sacrifice to help our community. So how do we get a hold of you guys and help make sure we donate?
You can connect with us at 8158podcast.com. If you are a first responder or military veteran or active or retired, it don't matter. You can either help out by coming on the podcast, telling your story, or you can donate to the podcast itself to keep the podcast going, or you can scroll down to the foundation and you can help your brothers and sisters in the first responder world and donate there. It's 8158podcast.com. You can find us on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram, also on Pinterest.
Oh, you're on Pinterest as well?
Yeah.
Nice.
And also the Thin Line Rock Station. We're always on there. We're always rocking. We're always knocking. And I always got you in the rock headlock. And soon you'll be hearing us on Slightly Unhinged. But don't worry, we're not leaving the Thin Line Rock Station. We already promised James, that we're going to stay with them because we love them. They gave us a great opportunity, and we love and respect everything they're doing. So we're going to stick with those guys, and they're helping us out with ours. So it's going to be awesome.
They kind of went through the trials stuff.
Yes.
So they can tell you how not to do it, pretty much, right?
Yeah, pretty much. He goes, we're going to tell you the do's and the don'ts.
Yeah. I'll tell you, when they first brought me on board, I was like, just so you guys know, I mean, I know where the on switch is to the computer, but I mean, other than that, I can open and close apps and things like that. And he's like, don't worry about it. I'll walk you through it. And they were awesome. They were absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
So
also, let's not forget, Beautifully Unplanned Podcast. That's my wife's podcast. She's got several episodes out now, and one of them, two of them pertain to first responders. Also, our new podcast, it is Beyond the Backroads Podcast, and that is on YouTube. And you can see us over there. You can see me mumbling around because I don't like scripts. I just do things off the fly. But I make do. I guess the more I do it, the better I get at it. But it is a very creepy, and it's based on actual things that we found. The next one coming out will be in Montana. There's quite a few in Montana that we do know of. And so
you guys will have to investigate the Gray Man in Pawleys Island, South Carolina. The Gray Man.
The Gray Man in Pawleys Island. I'll write that down.
Yep.
We can do that.
There's a lot of research about the Gray Man.
Gray Man. All right. Pawleys Island?
Yep.
And South Carolina?
Yes, sir. Yeah, that'd be cool to have a podcast like that. You can probably do some research when you come over here in February.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you at the summit as well. I'm going to be there for the 2 days. So
yes, and this isn't over yet.
That's right.
Because I will be at your house.
That's right. We're going to do another one right here in the studio. It's going to be amazing.
And we're going to check out the beach. I've never been to Myrtle Beach. My wife has. I haven't. And this will be a first.
Well, hopefully it's warmer than it is now, because we're supposed to get a foot of snow tonight.
I'm sure it will be. But I'm used to it. We can walk in the snow on the ocean. Shoot.
Rico, I appreciate you coming on, my man. Thank you so much. We'll definitely have to do this again when I get my technical skills a little bit more grounded. This took us probably 2 hours to do a 40-minute podcast because of Wi-Fi went out, everything went crazy. But I really appreciate your time, and if I can't wait to have you on again, because we're definitely going to have you on again, man.
Absolutely. That would be awesome and wonderful. Can't wait to see you here in a few weeks.
Yeah,
Be
well,
there.
by the end of next week, it'll all be done and ready to post.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. And
All right,
so we'll see it before we show up, and we'll be there. We'll see you in Wilmington.
that's right.
That'll be
If
pretty
they
awesome.
if they're out of snow by then,
Yeah.
they're getting hammered today. So, all right, have a good day, buddy.
You too. Thanks for having me on, brother.
Yes,
Been a
sir.
blessing
Thanks
and
so
honor.
much.
Yeah. See ya.